Welcome back to Toronto. And what is it with you and Mr. Cronenberg? You guys are like two peas in a pod?
Well, I love working with him. We have a great time. I really appreciate, obviously, his intelligence and his gifts as a filmmaker, but most of all, his sense of humor. You know, it's you watch a movie when it turns out well, and it looks relatively easy. You know, when the behavior seems relaxed and alternately funny, or you know, if it comes off. And you listen to people talk about working with David, it sounds like everything's calm and easy and fun, and it is. But you can't get away from the fact, and he doesn't lie to you about it, that there is a lot of pressure. You know, you got to get it done in a certain amount of time, and a lot of times the subject matter he deals with is pretty intense. You know, emotionally, or in the case of this movie, a lot of times mentally. You know, there's a lot of dialogue. Very well written script, but you got to get it right. You got to get the period right, and you know, it's a relatively, for a movie this ambitious in terms of the look of it, I think people will be really surprised at how beautiful it is. You know, in terms of being a period piece. You know, it's not that he hasn't done that before to some degree, but never as much as this. I think a lot of people who know his work will be surprised.
It's exquisite. It really is. It's beautiful.
It looks great, but you know, for the kind of budget we had and the time to shoot, it wasn't. You know, there was a lot of pressure, but he makes the time pass. You know, the pressure, he puts it aside somehow by basically cracking jokes all the time, which makes it a lot easier.
Makes it a lot easier. Sigmund Freud, some big shoes to fill, my friend. You did a phenomenal job. I almost thought I was getting my psychoanalysis through watching you. Wow, you were fantastic. Where did you even begin to get into the psyche of this man?
Well, I did, you know, I read everything that I had read about him and by him again, and then I read everything that I had not read about him and by him, which was a lot. But it's always different to read a book or visit a place when you know you're going to play that person. You know, to go to Vienna and walk around thinking, I'm going to be him walking around. It's quite different, and it's a lot of fun. It's much more specific and subjective and all that. But I mean, I did a lot of research, which I like to do, but in the end, a few days into the shoot, I just looked at David and I thought, you know, I really didn't have to do this. I could have just put the nose and the eyes and done the externals and just watched him, because there's something about him, seriously, that is his sense of humor and his wit, you know, which can be very incisive. And I mean, a lot of times people don't even realize he's telling a joke, which was very much the way Freud was. You know, he's that kind of like, well, there's something to it. It's a sort of a Jewish sense of humor, wit, as opposed to humor, really, which is a little more biting. It's a little more, you know, it comes from a sense of you might be put upon, or, you know, it's sort of self-protection in a way, and it's also kind of, for me anyway, it's kind of like a certain kind of English sense of humor, the kind of person that tells a joke without cracking a smile. And you either get it or you don't. If you don't get it, the person moves on. If you do get it, there's a mutual appreciation of that moment, and then you move on, you know. And David has that in spades. That's the way he kind of operates always.
Are you a cigar-smoking guy? Because, oh my God, I don't think there was a scene where you didn't have a cigar in your mouth.
Well, every picture you look at, you know, with Freud, almost every picture, whether he's with kids or working or reading or sleeping, I don't know, in the shower, he's got a cigar. It's incredible. And so I thought, well, how much? I did some research on that, and we found the type of cigar exactly that he smoked. Fortunately, they were good quality. And since I had to smoke so many of them, and it turns out he smoked at least a minimum of 20 of those a day. In other words, from the moment he got up, all day long. And, you know, it was a different time, too. They would have their weekly meetings with other doctors, psychoanalysts in Vienna, and they would lay out cigars in front of everybody's place setting.
Amazing.
And strong black coffee and cigarettes, and they just smoked the whole time.
Breakfast of champions.
Yeah, and if someone didn't want to smoke, he found it odd. It was suspicious.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you feel that you needed psychoanalysis after you finished shooting this movie?
I do after every movie with David, to be honest with you. And I haven't done it. what I do, I should like just not work with him again, you know, and I should get help, but I don't. I end up trying to find my way back into his good graces, and, you know, we end up on terrible terms at the end, and then we try to make up and look for another story. So
You're like brothers.
Yeah, that's
You're
how
like
I do
brothers
it.
by now. What's up next? What are we going to see you in next, Viggo?
I'm going to be doing a play. Well, I just finished shooting a movie that's also sort of a psychological thriller in Argentina. It's the first time I worked down there, and I've been down there to promote movies before, but since I was raised there, I always wanted to work there. And it's called We All Have a Plan. And I play twin brothers, so I called David to ask him about that, you know, since he did such a great job with Dead Ringers, with Jeremy Irons, and just to ask him just some technical things, and he was helpful. And also cracked a lot of jokes, so I hung up feeling like, well, that was no help at all. I should have known. But, and hopefully, you know, I'm going to do a play this fall.
On Broadway?
No, in Spain.
Oh.
In Spanish also, so a couple projects in a row in Spanish, a movie and a play, and then I'm still holding out, hoping that there'll be a sequel to Eastern Promises, because it's something David had expressed interest in doing, and it's the kind of movie, the way it ends, that almost begs for it, you know. What's going to happen to this person now? They've gotten this position of power. It's sort of like the end of The Godfather in a way, you know. And I'm not a big fan of sequels, because I think they usually don't turn out to be, they turn out to be inferior, you know, to the original. But with Cronenberg, I think it would be a good bet. And
Just promise me another shower scene, okay?
All right. In Russia, maybe.
You got it. I'll be your personal assistant. Viggo, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.